views and opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of Access Fort Wayne, the Allen County Public Library, or any other supporting groups. If you'd like to produce a show, call us at 260-421-1250.
Let me be your lighthouse so I can show you the way. Let me be your shining light, I'll keep you from drifting away. I'm the one that makes you try when.
So, welcome to my show, Patty's Page.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. This is City Councilor for Fort Wayne 2nd District, Mr. Russell Jehl. Hello.
Hello. It's been a while. Thank you for having me on again.
Been what, 5 years?
At least.
At least. So let's rehash about yourself. Where were you born and raised?
I am a Fort Wayne guy. I'm born and raised here, and with the exception of college and then living 1 year abroad in the Philippines, this has been my home.
Philippines.
Yeah.
Wow. How old were you then?
Out of college.
Okay. Who influenced you the most as you were growing up?
Oh, definitely my parents. Definitely my parents. I think definitely my mother and father, and then I'd also just kind of add, I think that's probably pretty standard for everybody, but as far as people that have influenced my life, I'd also throw in my grandfather Tom Jehl, one of the real patriarchs of the city of Fort Wayne, and I think without him, I don't think my I don't think that my horizons would have been as broad as to dream of being a city leader without growing up seeing him making such an influence in the city, and there is never a time that I have an important vote where I wish that I couldn't ask him still for advice.
He's still around?
No, he's passed.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Where did you go to high school?
I'm a Concordia cadet, class of '98, and a little fun fact with that, Representative Martin Carbaugh, County Councilman Kyle Curley, and I are all Concordia High School class of '98 graduates. So when you think of what can be achieved with a group of people that support each other, just all you have to do is rewind history for us. We were very close friends in high school, and we've been able to transform that friendship into not just something special amongst each other, but as really just a source of inspiration for community service. So Concordia High School class of '98, real symbol of what can be achieved with really good, great friends.
And that lasted all these years.
Yeah. Yep.
Still cooking, eh?
Yep. Absolutely. So just a little fun fact of how Concordia has been such an influence in not just my life, but resulting in really community leadership here.
Did you go to university or college?
I went to Hillsdale College, Southern Michigan.
What was your major?
Financial management.
So this was 5 years ago since we last spoke on my TV series, Patty's Page. Besides being part, what do you do? I mean, do you work every day?
Yeah, I mean that's I have a day job, and I think what I did before was I worked for the congressman, and then most of my adult career I've been in commercial real estate, but I left that public service side on the day job working for the congressman. I left that last year to help out my family business.
Yeah.
And so right now I have the privilege of working with my wife all day, every day, and then my parents-in-law as well. And
So what do they do? What
yeah,
does Monica do?
they own a travel business. They take retirees on vacation, and
I think
uh,
we better go to your wife. Eh?
indeed. So
Little plug there.
this year has certainly been a challenge, but at the same time, um, what a special opportunity to confront these challenges with family, not just work associates. And so it's really deepened our relationships in a real special way, and made the challenges of this year much more. Uh,
Yeah.
I guess I would use the word tolerable.
Well, this pandemic is not good.
Right.
So being are you part-time in politics then? Still? Well,
So the city council job, that's a part-time job, and that's exactly what you want from elected officials. You want people. And it would be nice to be able to spend even more time on council and devoting even more time to that. But at the end of the day, the most important thing is I have to live with the same world and the same city as we make rules for and laws for.
mhm.
And so when I wrestle with a question of taxes or finances or regulations, it's my pocketbook that's being taxed. It's my business that's being regulated, my family's business that's being regulated. And so you want your elected officials to live in the same world you do. So it's always a challenge to have that full-time job. But I can tell you firsthand just how important it is to keep elected officials grounded by
Yeah.
them living in the same world and having their day jobs as everybody else.
What are your duties as a city councilor?
I'm sorry, ask me that again.
What are your duties?
Oh, what are my duties? Excuse me. Okay,
Right?
city council is the legislative branch of the city of Fort Wayne.
Mhm.
And so if you kind of go back to your high school and your civics classes, so the mayor is the executive branch, the city council is the legislative branch and the fiscal body. And so we are responsible for the finances of the city and rule or laws, which we call local laws, which we call ordinances.
Right.
And so the primary responsibilities really come to be city utilities, which is basically your water, your road services, fire, police, and parks. Those are kind of the core responsibilities of city council.
Do you pass laws yourself? Or?
Yeah, the city of Fort Wayne has the ability to pass its own local laws, which are called ordinances.
So what's the heaviest one that you have done? The most important nowadays.
Yeah, I would say probably the thing that I'm most proud of over my tenure actually came from the first term when we reformed our economic development tax abatement rules. And the reason I'm so proud of that particular change, I know it's not, I know it's, I'll be real brief on it because people's eyes glaze over. But at the end of the day, you want to make your city as attractive as possible for good, high-paying businesses and jobs. And the way that we used to do it is we would just give a full 10-year tax, a big tax abatement to anyone that asked whether
Yeah.
they're really hiring anyone new or not.
Mhm.
Well, that's fine for the businesses, but it doesn't provide any value for the taxpayer. And we were able to reform that in a way where where only big abatements were given out when there were big, exciting jobs created. And businesses that come and just say, "Hey, give me a tax break," and I won't fire anybody. Well, we used to give those people big tax breaks just for simply not firing anybody, and that didn't create any value for us. So what we've done is we've provided that value to the public where If you get a tax break, it's for doing a true benefit to the public, and we remain incredibly competitive. The last several years, the growth of the city of Fort Wayne has been huge proof that you can be smart with your fiscal policy and have it work for the taxpayer, and that it's not just a win-lose where the business either wins and the taxpayer loses. You can create win-wins, and that's why I'm so proud of it.
Do you work along with the mayor or no?
Yes, good functioning city government. The city council and the mayor work together. If you've followed city government this year, that relationship has been strained. But I think that Fort Wayne remains a beacon when you compare how federal government works and the partisanship, and really that everybody's just looking to one up the other and stick it to the other side. Even in the friction that we've seen this year, we still see a city that collaborates and that the interests of the public are continue to be served. So even if the personal relationships are strained, as this point might be, I think there's still a lot to be proud of what we're achieving here in the city.
So how long have you been in politics, kiddo?
In politics, that's pretty much is in my blood.
15, 12 years?
If you know my mother, who's been in politics as long as I can remember. But I've held elected office for 9 years now. And,
9 years.
Yeah, and every day I wake up and have to pinch myself because I have a part-time job where it is my duty to dream about how to make this community a better place, and that still gets me going in the morning, gets me excited. And if you know, where most people would maybe watch the news in the morning and get frustrated and wish they could do something about it, I actually have a job that says, okay, I can watch the news, I can see the problem, and I can dream about how to make a difference and have a positive outlet for watching the news.
So when is your next election for you?
Not for 3 years, thank God.
You're funny.
Yeah.
So you like what you're doing?
It is such an honor. It is such an honor. Yeah, like I said, every day I get to wake up and make a difference, and still that drives me, and still that makes me
Looking forward to meeting people.
happy. Yeah, and yes, it's difficult. Yes, public service is if you do it right, it is a burden, but it is a burden of honor, and that's still the way I see it. And
what is your second district's borders? Where does it?
Yeah. The city of Fort Wayne, if you think of it as kind of a circle, there are 6 districts that it's divided up into, and they become kind of pie shaped. So, the district that I represent is sort of northeast Fort Wayne, but it's not. They're true political boundaries. They're not something that you would just naturally just say, oh, I'm now in the second district area. So it goes as far east as Maple Crest Road, basically, and then as far west as Coldwater Road, basically, as far south as the north side area and the rivers where they converge. But they're not straight lines from there. So
the pandemic, I'm worried about that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So how has Fort Wayne communities being handling this deadly disease, this virus?
Yeah. Fort Wayne, typical of our city, Fort Wayne is approached us with a great deal of common sense. And I think that we've seen that either extreme of that you truly could have ignored it and to your detriment, and at the same time you could try to over control things and really cause a lot of excess pain. And
Yeah.
so I think Fort Wayne is has definitely handled this with a lot of common sense. The state of Indiana has done its best to handle this with
Yeah.
a lot of common sense. Now, here's the most important thing that I can share from my point of leadership in the city of Fort Wayne, which is a health emergency is designed by our forefathers to not be handled by the deliberative legislative body. And the reason is because that's an emergency and you need quick acting leadership in an emergency. And so the way that health crises are designed on the local level is for the health commissioner to take the lead. And the health commissioner is actually not an elected official, that's an appointed official by the county commissioners. So we have had a health commissioner, and actually a health commissioner that began the pandemic. She retired. We've had a new commissioner come on. Unfortunately, that was when it was subsiding, and so it's very unique and actually very humbling for me in the legislative body to have to acknowledge that on this particular crisis, it's our job, not necessarily to lead, because the deliberative body can get in the way, but it's our job to support the health commissioner, the mayor, and the commissioners as they lead through a crisis. And then obviously the governor has really in Indiana the supreme authority and has the ability to pass health orders statewide. So what we have really, our job as city council has been primarily to make sure that our finances are in order as best they can, that our police and fire remain equipped to handle as they are the public safety aspects that we have oversight on, make sure that they are safe and equipped to do what they need to do.
So how are we doing health-wise? Is there a lot of people in Allen County or Fort Wayne itself that has a lot of this conundrum?
Yeah, we've seen the COVID rates in Allen County go up, and what I think has been especially interesting is hearing our major health providers pooling together with kind of joint strategies with the health department.
Yeah.
You normally think of almost silos when it comes to our two major healthcare providers, now three major healthcare providers. Now they're all working together with joint strategies. They've been working for months on coming up how to make sure that they have that flexibility. If you think about the beginning of the pandemic, they thought they'd be overrun. Then they kind of had to scale back as the pandemic infection rates were slower in the summer because if they ran as if they ran continually in preparation, they were actually losing substantial amounts of money, weren't able to meet the basic needs, sort of day-to-day needs of healthcare needs of people in the community. And now they've gone through and just they've kept developing those strategies, and now they're beginning to enact those. And so you're seeing some of these health providers, them opening up various levels of wings devoted to COVID patients, and doing their best to make sure that they increase the supply of beds devoted to COVID as necessary.
Yes. Also, I have a question.
Yeah.
The economy.
Mm-hmm.
How is our economy? Is it strengthened? Is it?
Sure. Boy, you wish you could. I mean, if I had a crystal ball, I'd be in Wall Street when it comes to the economy. But Indiana has been very resilient, and a lot of that just goes back to that common sense of how do you meet the pandemic. You can go to an extreme either way. You can ignore it, and lots of people can get sick and die. You can try to have perpetual lockdowns, which ruin people financially and ruin their public health. Unfortunately, I've seen this with a lot of acquaintances that I have, that public health side, just people that are normally perfectly healthy but are struggling through this. And so what we've seen is the places in the United States that have dealt with this with appropriate amount of respect to the virus,
Yes.
but at the same time, balance that with as much common sense as possible, not trying to do things that are not feasible to great destruction to the economy. Those areas have fared the best. And that's why you've seen that Indiana's been fairly resilient in this. And as we go through, if you consider this sort of the second major wave, why we seem to be poised to meet that better than maybe other places that have so weakened themselves that they approach this second large wave in a place of weakness rather than strength, which is mostly, Indiana certainly has taken a beating, but is in a stronger place than other parts of the country.
Yeah, at least we don't gather in large, groups like they do in several other places around the United States without masks. And then you wonder why they come down with COVID.
Right. And I think that's maybe the most important message that elected officials like I should project. Especially I've already just been transparent with you and say, hey, even if I wanted to do something specific or do something better than the national government or state government or local, that I'm just not statutorily in a place to take the lead on the healthcare pandemic. But the most important thing that people need to realize is they control the vast majority of the smart decisions.
Yes.
The mask, your hand, sanitizing, the distance that you are from other people, the number of chances that you take. Do you go into the store or do you do carry out? Those decisions are for the individual. Those make the biggest difference. Then when you start talking about decisions that government makes for you, well, those are the ones that are less effective.
Yeah.
And those are also the ones that have the more tendency to hurt not just the economy, but eventually hurt the well-being of their people. So the most important thing is to keep encouraging people, be smart, do the wrong thing, control what you can control, and that makes the biggest difference.
Sorry about that. My cat likes to climb on my lap. This is Angus, by the way.
Hey,
The Abyssinian Pretty Cat.
Hey, I can't blame this guest is a little boring. I'm glad you brought in a more interesting guest.
No, this is not boring what I'm doing. I'm glad you're answering all the wonderful questions I have, because we do need to hear encouragement, especially from the government. All this fear of people coming down with it. And the nursing homes, are they being looked after? Are they starting to, they're starting to get the vaccines together, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, this can't be overstated enough. Parkview's announced that they're getting their first batches of I think it's the Pfizer vaccine. They were the first ones, I believe, to make the application for emergency use, and now they are days away from receiving that first batch. Already have, I believe, a shipment date to confirm. Have a strategy in place. Have the capacity. Have the exceptionally cold freezers, which is why Parkview was, I believe, one of 5 sites to be used as Indiana distribution points initially. So, I mean, it can't be understated as from a just sort of perspective of hope that a cure is literally being shipped to us.
So
that is tremendous good news.
Who will get the first vaccine?
They have a series of a matrix of needs. I guess you would almost call that triage set up. But the basic aspects have to do with comorbidities, risk factors, age, and who they distribute that to. So it'll be a while, like somebody like me that
I'm high risk myself.
Yeah, that doesn't have any of those high risk factors yet. I'll be later in the obviously the high risk factors.
March, April or something.
Yeah.
So far, I know that they've got till the end of this month, December. I mean,
Yeah.
in December, we
Yeah.
have 90 million vaccines ready to be done.
Yeah, I keep hearing different numbers. The good news is it's not just from one company. You also have AstraZeneca that I believe has also made the application for emergency use, and I believe there was other, and I think it's something like a half dozen other manufacturers are looking to apply for emergency use shortly. So I think at the end, I think fast forward about 6 months here, I think probably you'll see about a half dozen sources producing literally hundreds of millions of doses per month. That's what it appears, where it appears that we're moving towards. And then on a local level, I know that they've mapped out sort of a distribution plan as well. So you've got a lot of coordination that goes all the way from the the company that develops these vaccines all the way to the distribution point here in Allen County.
Certain grids.
And those are and so this logistical tremendous undertaking. They've been laying that groundwork, and my understanding is that the health commissioner and that the county feel that they are up to the job as these are due, as we get more than just this initial shipment, but as we get additional shipments on a regular basis.
So in Fort Wayne, where can we get tested?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't know exactly where the testing points are off the top of my head. For a lot of people, this might be one thing that people might want to consider. So Red Cross has been appealing for blood donations, and that's something that we always need. The pandemic has made that more difficult as people go out less, or maybe are just a little just more concerned about, and maybe don't want to feel like they're taking a risk going out and giving blood. So the American Red Cross has gone out of their way to seek people to not neglect giving blood, but if somebody does, and if you feel like you can do so safely, that it does screen for coronavirus antibodies, and so you do a good deed and you get results back, and so that's one way that I would encourage, especially healthy people like myself, that if they want to know whether they have been exposed to the virus.
Well, it's kind of scary out there, kid.
Yeah.
It really is. So, finally, what would you like to share with my audience on how to encourage them through this pandemic thing?
This has been a year like no other. We had a pandemic. We had one of the most bitter election seasons ever. That seemed like it actually never, like all 4 years was a bitter election season leading up to it. And I think I saw today the statistically something like 40% of Americans feel like, or I think it was specifically young Americans feel like they are experiencing signs of depression. And so I think this is, as we head into the holiday season, what a wonderful time, I think, to remember here. First of all, Thanksgiving and the reasons for Thanksgiving, they transcend politics, they transcend pandemics. Christmas, obviously, the season of perpetual hope, and that hope comes from the inside. It's not circumstantial of who the president is. It's not circumstantial of the pandemic. It's not even circumstantial of our individual healths. Mm-hmm. And so what a wonderful time maybe to sit back and just remember that it's always darkest before the morning light breaks through.
Happy New Year and all that. Maybe.
Yeah, let's just get through. Let's just get this year over with. I think everybody would just be happy. Let's just drop it. You know what? Let's just forget Thanksgiving. Let's forget Christmas. Let's drop that ball. Call it 2021. We'll start over.
Okay. Thank you for coming to my show, Russ. Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me.
And thank you, people, for being an audience. Thank you so much. We love you all.
Thank you. See you later.
Holidays. God bless you. Bye-bye. See you next week.
Godspeed, my love, until we meet.
Godspeed, my love. God is with us always, and for the rest of our lives.